What is it that drives us to create, especially when we're pushed to the absolute limit? In this explainer, we're going to explore that profound human need to make art at the very edges of our experience, from the deepest journeys into the mind to the absolute darkest corners of history.
So just look at these two images. On one hand, you've got a world of chosen, inner exploration, right? It's vibrant, it's complex, it's a deliberate journey into consciousness. But then, on the other hand, you see this. A world of forced, external survival, stark, quiet, a desperate attempt just to hold on to reality. One is a voyage, the other, a prison.
So you got to ask, right? What's the link here? How on earth does the impulse to create art during, say, a psychedelic journey have anything to do with the impulse to create while you're literally hiding for your life? That is the core question we're going to try and unpack here.
All right, so let's start with the first group. These are the artists who chose to go on this journey, the ones who willingly ventured into the vast, unpredictable landscapes of their own minds. This wasn't an accident, it was a conscious decision to see what's really hiding behind the curtain of everyday reality. Take someone like Salvador Dali. For him, this kind of inner journey wasn't about chaos. Not at all. He actually developed a whole system for it, which he called the paranoid critical method. It was his technique to basically consciously bring on hallucinations so he could capture that raw subconscious imagery right there on the canvas. Think of it like a controlled, methodical dive into the deep end of the pool. And this idea, of art as a real tool, it's absolutely central to the work of a more modern visionary artist, Alex Grey. I mean, just look at this quote. He truly believes that the act of creating art is a path to enlightenment. It's a way to shatter the limits of your own mind and tap into something, well, divine. And listen, for Grey, this wasn't just some abstract theory. He's been very open about how his experiences on LSD, what he calls sacramental journeys over 5 years, completely rewired his worldview. He went from being an agnostic existentialist to feeling this deep, profound spiritual connection to everything. And that became the whole mission of his work. His art is basically a direct map of those journeys. But, and this is really important, these chosen journeys aren't always about seeing the light. No way. The cultural critic Eric Davis has a great term for the other side of it, the weird. We're talking about experiences that are dreadful, terrifying, and just plain dark. And that's a super important distinction to make. Psychedelic art isn't just about beauty and spiritual epiphanies. It's also about confronting the darkness inside, the parts of our own minds that are profoundly strange and even scary. Okay, so now we're going to make a huge shift. We're moving from journeys that were chosen for exploration to creativity that was born out of the absolute desperate necessity of survival. Because this very same creative impulse, it shows up in the absolute darkest of human circumstances, like for those in hiding during the Holocaust. I mean, just try to imagine it. Hiding in cellars, attics, and bunkers, surrounded by constant mortal danger, and yet people picked up pencils and brushes. For them, art served two crucial purposes. First, it was a way to document the brutal reality they were living through. But it was also a lifeline, a way to escape it all, and to hold on to their own humanity. Take a look at this piece by Felix Nussbaum. He was hidden in an attic in Brussels, and he couldn't use oil paints because the smell of the turpentine would have given him away. So what did he do? He meticulously drew the simple, mundane things around him: a watering can, a coffee grinder, a kitchen sink. By focusing on these everyday items, he was anchoring himself in reality, pushing back against the overwhelming terror just outside. At the very same time, other people used art to build an entirely different world. As a teenager hidden in the Netherlands, Sophie Langer Asher drew scenes from fairy tales. Think about that. Her physical world had shrunk to the size of a closet, but her imagination provided this huge refuge filled with heroes and fairies and magic, a reality that was the polar opposite of her own. And then there's this, an incredibly intimate act of creation. Gerard Polak's wife, Johanna Sarah, actually gave birth in secret while in hiding. And when Polak was finally able to meet his baby daughter in their hiding place, he sketched her. In the midst of all that darkness, this drawing is just a profound act of love, of hope, and of life continuing on against all odds. And finally, this one is just wow. A young boy named Jack Jagard spent 22 months hiding in a tiny space underneath a pig pen. And to keep his mind active, to continue the education that had been stolen from him, he painstakingly copied anatomical drawings from a medical textbook. This wasn't just art, it was an act of pure defiance. It was a refusal to let his world and his mind just stop.
Okay, so we have these two incredibly powerful threads, art as a journey inward and art as an anchor in darkness. So how do they connect to our world today? Well, you can actually see them intersecting right now on the modern frontiers of science and healing. We are living in what's being called a psychedelic renaissance. These substances are being seriously studied for their incredible promise in treating conditions like PTSD and depression. It's a shift from purely artistic exploration towards a structured method for healing, a way for people to confront their own inner darkness and create new, healthier stories for themselves. And this therapeutic model isn't a random trip. It is a structured process, almost like Dali's methodical approach. You have the preparation, the supported session, and then the crucial integration phase. The whole thing is designed to help a person navigate their own subconscious and construct new meaning from the experience, turning a potentially chaotic journey into a transformative one. Of course, navigating this inner world comes with real risks, so a framework of harm reduction has emerged. The goal here is to provide a safe container, much like the hidden addicts provided a safe physical container, for individuals to explore these states, minimizing danger while maximizing the potential for creating positive change. And you have to remember, the practitioners guiding these journeys, they're on an edge of their own. They're navigating this really complex frontier where the science is moving way faster than the law, and they face significant professional and legal risks. It's a real testament to the perceived power of these experiences that they are willing to operate in such a challenging environment. You know, this whole intersection of art and science, it kind of brings us full circle, right back to Salvador Dali. Inspired by his lifelong fascination with science, a new program called Platform Dali is now bringing artists and scientists together to collaborate. It just proves that his vision of uniting these worlds was decades ahead of its time. So, after all that, what have we learned? Let's zoom back out for a second and try to understand this fundamental creative imperative that seems to be coded right into our DNA. I think this quote from Yad Vashem, the World Holocaust Remembrance Center, just says it all. The fact that people would risk so much to create, not when life was easy, but when it was at its most threatening, well, that tells us everything we need to know about the resilience and the immense power of the human spirit. So, we've seen two starkly different paths. One group chose to unlock the subconscious and expand the mind. The other was forced to document a brutal reality and escape into fantasy simply to hold on to their humanity. Yet, despite their different origins, they were united by the exact same fundamental purpose: to create. Ultimately, I think it all boils down to this. Art can be an anchor in the storm of an unthinkable reality, or it can be a ship for exploring the vast ocean of the mind. But either way, it is our response to the unknown. It is our fundamental tool for creating meaning out of chaos. And that leaves us with one final thought. In those moments of your own life, when you find yourself standing at the edge of the unknown, whether it's by choice or by circumstance, what will you create?